The stigma of speaking a local language or of not speaking the language of privilege in a context, for example, the lingua franca or English or French, is a barrier to the creation of language technology in low-resource languages. It can result in a less favorable policy environment, a mistrust from language communities, and a lack of material support for innovations and entrepreneurs working in language technology. The United Nations Development Program, or UNDP, recently released a discussion paper on scaling the language data ecosystem as part of their AI hub for sustainable development. I was a part of a couple of these discussions, but not the one that talked about the stigma of local languages. The paper goes over familiar territory, so this finding really stood out for me. And I think it might be one of the biggest unacknowledged barriers to the creation of low-resource language technology. UNDP points out that governments really need to start stepping up in creating a climate and an environment for language technology that people can use and that can be developed. Because right now, they say that governments aren't really engaging very much. There's a lot of discussions, a lot of talk, and a lot of well-founded fears, but not much concretely going on. There are some notable exceptions, of course. The governments of India and Indonesia, for example, have developed sovereign large language models, and there are a number of other countries that are doing similar or different things, but not very much really concretely happening. Now, I'm not sure that building a sovereign large language model is the way to go. I imagine that a sovereign large language model could reinforce cultural biases or stereotypes. I can also imagine that they might be manipulated for political purposes. But I do think that governments need to develop policy frameworks so that their citizens can safely get information using language technology and have their voices heard. UNDP points out that more inclusive artificial intelligence can break down barriers so that society, business, government institutions can create and innovate solutions for sustainable development. And the report concludes by saying, closing the language divide in artificial intelligence is essential to catalyze locally relevant innovation, support stronger agency for marginalized communities, record and share cultural heritage, and ensure that no one is left behind, no matter what language they speak. I couldn't agree more. And that's what's interesting in low-resource language tech.